What's up, y'all? Sparta here. I want to make a video on Google Fi and how it's ultimately been faring for me personally. I've used it on both my LG V40 and I switched it to my iPhone XS here. And I want to talk about if it's a good enough carrier to switch to and stuff like that. If you just want to save money, and I'll break down like the plan and the data rates and stuff like that, which is only really one. Well, I guess technically two data rates, but I'll get into that in a minute. So Google Fi, it's $25. No, it's $20 a month for a single person. Then it's $10 a gig up to 6 gigs. So say you use 6 gigs of 4G LTE data, right? It'll charge you. Your bill will go from 20 to 80. Simple as that. And it won't charge you any more after 6 gigs. And it'll obviously just be, throttled data speeds, which every carrier throttles data. So that's not something that is new. T-Mobile throttles data. And I've noticed it quite a bit actually, where you're in a congested area and your data will just get throttled. So you pretty much have to use Wi-Fi. So what does this constitute essentially? I would say that it basically means that it reinforces using your data sparingly for someone like me on T-Mobile, where I would use 30, 40, sometimes 50 gigs a month. Because I was like, oh, I have unlimited data. Why not? It was all nonchalant and stuff like that. I would just be, oh, I have unlimited data. Why should I be on Wi-Fi? This pretty much reinforces the fact that you shouldn't use your data all the time. You should only really use it when you actually need it. And that's why I feel this is very good for me personally. Calls haven't been dropping. Sure, calls don't sound as clear because it's not a T-Mobile to T-Mobile phone or AT&T to AT&T, Verizon to Verizon phone, stuff like that, so you don't get the HD voice stuff. But since I am not on the phone that often, that doesn't matter to me. And the times that I've been on the phone, no calls have dropped or anything like that, so that's something that's very nice. Text messages come through fine. SMS messages come through, SMS is text. MMS messages come through fine. Everything just comes through. And for iPhones in particular, where Google Fi is still in beta, you will have to do some manual stuff to make sure that it works. And with the pamphlet that comes with your SIM when you sign up for Google Fi, which they ship to you free within 2 days, 2 business days, right? It'll tell you how to set it up on iPhones and stuff like that, and it'll work just fine. And it'll tell you restart your phone when you need to restart your phone, and it'll work just fine. Like it worked right after I did it. So, and I've been using it ever since, and it's really good. I haven't had any missed messages or anything. So, data goes through T-Mobile and I think AT&T and T-Mobile. I think Sprint as well. I don't remember. It's I know one of them is T-Mobile. So I think it's T-Mobile and Sprint. And I have no problems when I do use data. The only times I do have problems is the problems I already had when I was using data with T-Mobile. Like in Chaska, right, where I live, certain parts are quite spotty for data. Like, so I'll have like say Target, for example, right? The Target I shop at, not the one I work at. You are lucky to get 4G. You basically have to be on their Wi-Fi if you want good internet, right? Which Target's internet is actually really good for what it is. I use it while I'm at work, so it's actually really good for certain things. But yeah, unless obviously you want to download stuff and all that, which I wouldn't recommend. No store Wi-Fi should be used in that regard. It's just my girl saying some stuff, but I'm gonna disregard that, sending me gifts and stuff, which is actually kind of an apt thing since I just talked about that. But yeah, look, if T-Mobile, AT&T, or Sprint is spotty in your area, I'm pretty sure they have a data coverage map, so I'd look that up. But you just look up T-Mobile, AT&T, and Sprint's, data coverage map, and it should work totally fine for you. This V40 is an AT&T variant, so I was totally fine getting data with this. This isn't, obviously every iPhone is unlocked, so this is an iPhone, and it's been totally fine using LTE no matter what. So no matter what you seem to do, it's totally fine in every aspect. I really haven't had any issues. Is it really anything? No, not really. You could add another person. You could add other people. And I added my girlfriend, and it adds an extra $15 to your base bill. So it's $35 a month for your base bill, and it goes up from 6 gigs to 10 gigs every month that you could use of high-speed data, and that's total. And it goes from, obviously, if you use all 10 gigs, which let me see how much I've used so far. I've used 7 gigs of data. Most of it's been me, mainly because for the first, part of the time that I've used it, it's been just me. So if it was both of us doing it, it probably would be less than that. But since I used most of that 6 gigs of data initially, we didn't have much to work with. But it's fine. I don't really care. It's totally fine. Nothing is there's really nothing else to say. Google Fi for me is totally fine. Like I said, I might end up switching from T-Mobile to Google Fi, but the main worry I have is its success. Because if you follow tech, Google. Something's not a success, they'll shut it down, right? But I guess since it went from Project Fi to Google Fi, and it's a legit thing now, I don't think it's going to go away. But it's just something I would still hold in the back of my mind. Because now with Google Stadia and people being iffy on that, and all the statements Google has been using when it comes to Google Stadia, people are a bit iffy with Google, and it's understandable because they've had stuff like Google Glass. They've had other projects that didn't go through, like Google Fiber didn't completely go through. So it's just something that I would say be wary about. But other than that, that's pretty much it. When it comes to sheer performance, nothing has been bogged down. My phones haven't been heating up or anything like that. Initially, it was like draining the battery life, but that was probably because the phones were getting used to being on a different, network, right? So it's just something that is par for the course. But yeah, Google Fi is really good for, St. Paul, Minnesota, Minneapolis, Chaska, in particular where I live. So it's totally fine aside from like certain spots. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, whatever time of day it is in your area. Have a good one. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. Show people the interesting sort of content. And again, I appreciate 636 subscribers. It really means a lot to me.